You're most likely not going to make any significant amount of money online. And that is honestly the brutal truth, the harsh reality of the situation. And honestly, I might actually lose subscribers, viewers, and followers by making this video. However, also on the flip side, I do feel like a lot of you need to hear this message if you want to change your trajectory moving forward. And I can break this down very simply, but I can also make it a little bit more complicated and go a bit deeper into a couple of things. And I'm going to try to do both. However, if you do not know who I am, by the way, I do have countless videos on my channel kind of walking through my journey, just so you know I'm not talking out of my ass. But just a quick recap, I was basically working a random 9 to 5, made an e-commerce store, got some money, but then got hacked, lost all my profits, ended up just stopped doing e-com completely and started doing high ticket sales instead. Finally made 20, 30K a month doing that, quit that and started my own, more so AI agency business, whatever you want to call it, and finally scaled up to 50 to 100,000. So that's kind of just a quick recap so you know I kind of know what I'm talking about. But anyway, here's the thing. Most of you are not going to make the money that you want, even though you're trying, and you feel like you're putting all this effort in. However, you have nothing to show for it. And then you see all of these people online just flex numbers and basically flex their cars and lifestyles and everything on you, and you feel like they're way dumber than you, even though you're probably more intelligent, more smart and whatnot. Here's the thing, dude. Just to be completely blunt and upfront about it, chances are that, first of all, you're just not working hard enough. And I know this sounds cliche and as simple as possible, and half of you are just gonna click off the video right now because you feel like, oh, this is just so stupid. But here's the reality of the situation. If I honestly, most of you feel like this is somewhat hard, somewhat easy, whatever. But if I genuinely told you the path to making, let's just say $50,000 or $100,000 a month online, if you knew how that path looked, and I showed you the trials and tribulations and all the hard work and everything that needs to go into it to get there, most of you wouldn't even start. The only reason why a lot of people start is because they don't really know how hard and what it really takes. Nobody knows that, so they just jump into it and then they quit before they even make their first $5,000 online, and that's why everybody says it does not work. It's because everybody quits before they can even get any significant amount of money through the door. It's probably going to take you a year to get to your first $5,000 or $10,000. It's just the reality of the fucking situation. So of course, somebody makes a lot of money and way more than that in just a couple months, and somebody else takes them years to get to their first 5,000, right? However, most of the people out there, and this is probably you as well, you all quit before you've even started. Sorry, my camera just died, but what I was about to say is that if most of you knew how the journey actually looks like, right? If you knew how long this is the start and this is the end, if you knew what it took and what actionable steps you needed to take to get there, most of you wouldn't even start. And that's the reality of the situation. Because a lot of you start and then you get here and then you quit because you realize that there's a lot left right here to actually get to those significant numbers that you're looking for. Obviously, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a challenge. It's not going to be easy. However, if you're not ready for that type of challenge, then making money online isn't even something you should be doing. You should rather go and get a 9 to 5 and make money that way. I swear to God, you should, because this is not an easy path to go down. Sorry, my camera died yet again. I don't know what's happening. I'm charging it while I'm recording. But however, what I was gonna say is, like I said, when you know the timeline, most of you wouldn't even start. And the reason why is because it's so brutally tough. It's so much harder than what you think. However, you have to look at it as a challenge and not just as a hard pathway. Because when you start loving this process and when you start enjoying it and when you start learning and overcoming challenges, the whole process just becomes easier. And I know it sounds cringe and corny and whatever, I know, but honestly, like the process and the journey is really what fulfills you. It's not to achieve the end goal, because once you get that money, you're just going to want a bigger goal or whatever. And you'll have to enjoy the process along the way. Otherwise, you might as well, like I said, stay in that 9 to 5. And I'll give you a great example as well, because after I started this AI agency, for instance, a lot of things opened up in my mind of how hard things are. Because yeah, I made 30K a month as a sales rep, closing for your biggest influencers out there, guys with over 10 million followers. Here's the thing, dude. It's like I would just show up, take sales calls all day, that was on my calendar, and just close and get paid for it. But when you run your own business, you have to hire people, you have to run teams, you have to do all these things. And that's way, way harder. You have way more responsibility just to make a little bit more money. I'm talking about 20, 30K a month extra. Obviously, you want to scale, you have way more leverage and whatnot. But here's a great example. I know when I started this AI agency thing, when we started trying to get our first clients, it was super tough, right? Because we had ads running, ads were all right, but lead quality wasn't the best. So we tried doing cold outreach as well. And that's when you realize how tough it actually is to get a client. And most people don't realize this. So we're out here fucking dialing all day. And you realize that most people quit when they've not even done 100 cold calls. It's like, no shit, you're not closing a client. Everybody's online out here saying cold outreach and cold calling doesn't work, yet they've only cold called 20 to 50 people max. It's like, yeah, I dialed 50 numbers, I dialed 10 people a day, cold calling doesn't work. It's like, of course it doesn't work. It's not gonna work if you're just dialing 50 people a day. I have a guy that I've hired and I set KPI minimum $100 a day. That's like bare minimum. Like low key, we should double, triple that. But it's like, that's the bare minimum. And when guys can't even hit $100 a day and they complain we're not getting clients, it's like, well, no shit, dude. You're not even trying. Again, if I showed you the path and it says take $500 every single day for a month straight until you get a client, nobody would pick up the phone and fucking start dialing. Only the guys that are relentlessly hungry to make it happen. And that's the reason why most of you are probably never going to make any significant amount of money online, because you're not willing to do the trench work that has to be done. It's as simple as that. You say you want it, and then you act like you're doing shit because you're on the computer and you're building these things and you're acting like you're working. However, you're just avoiding the revenue generating tasks because those are the hardest part. The tasks you're avoiding is the reason why you're not making any money, and the reason why you're avoiding them is obviously because that's the work you don't want to do. But always the money's behind the work you don't want to do. It's that fucking every single time. I can't even explain how many times that has happened to me. And it's probably the exact same reason as to why you're not making the money that you want. You're avoiding the number one task you should be doing. And you know this deep down as well. But most of you are just never gonna do that. And that's fine. Like, it's less competition and it's just more competition from the guys that are actually putting the work in. But if you look at it that way as well, from the flip side of things, if you just realize that, dude, your competition is so fucking low. If you're trying to sign your first client for your AI agency, it's like, dude, you're competing against guys that are not even doing 20 cold calls a day. If you can just fucking do $100 a day every single day for a month, you're bound to get a client. It's just like, yo, people don't realize it. And it's just like, if you knew how low your competition really was and you're determined to make it happen no matter what. Like, I'm coaching a guy right now and he's just like, he's hungry as fuck. He's gonna do whatever it takes to sign that client. And that's the mentality you need. Because if you're not willing to do that, again, you shouldn't be trying to make money online. It's a hard thing to do. It's not easy. However, it will happen for the people that are actually willing to do the work necessary. You have to understand this. If you don't understand this, you're gonna be left behind. I'm sorry. It is the brutal reality, it is the harsh truth, but it is really the case. I hope you really understand this. I hope it makes sense. And I hope you can fix your bitch ass and actually start doing the proper things you should be. If you want direct guidance, one-on-one help from me, if you want to start your own AI agency or whatever, I have a link down below. You can book a call, serious applications only. It's a coaching offer. No, I'm not doing it for free. So only for serious people. If you want it, the link is down below. Besides that, hope this helps. Catch you guys next time. Take care.